Sphinx sleeping in the sun. The stones at our feet are so beautiful that they seem like fanciful pictures painted by nature. Here and there, the water rivulets pulsate with life, their sound like singing. And at night, the twinkling stars are so numerous that one loses count, and the ethereal Milky Way festively and brightly crosses the sky like a brush of the Creator's hand.
In these places, it's easy to lose track of time, as if the ticking of the clock is no longer of any concern to us, and the world moves farther and farther away.
Each evening we go through the same ritual. We relieve the camels of their burdens and set up the tents, which at least give some protection against the icy wind. Then we have a basic meal, and already night is catching up with us. But our thoughts do not dwell on the faults of our icy night camp, but on the great new impressions that nature will give us on the next day.
After 5 days of this, we have reached the K2 base camp. However, the mountain is still hidden. To see it, one must go up to the advanced camp and perhaps, with a little bit of luck, the mostly cloud-covered mountain will reveal itself. Unfortunately, the camels cannot continue due to the difficulty of the path as well as the altitude. The organizing agency of our journey had been positive, no problem to provide an experienced guide, and no problem for the transport of the heavy baggage.
But in reality, the guide did not know the way and had neither organizational abilities nor any desire to go further. Meanwhile, the cook and the camel drivers, the only ones to know the way, refused to go into that hell of frost. So, a day of strong pressure and wordy irritation passed. Then, a day later, close to noon, the camel drivers accept the task after being offered much greater compensation. The most willing of the group leave, facing a steep slope and later another descent that leads to the foot of the glacier on which the advanced camp is situated.
With increasing altitude, we get ever greater panoramic views over the valley. However, the cold increases, as does the intensity of the icy wind. Our path gets more and more alpine. Rubble and ice are now constantly underfoot, and we have to step with great care to be safe.
Finally, this seemingly endless day is conquered. The most frugal dinner yet, based on thin soups brought from home, is prepared in the open, under the icy wind, using a gas canister and stove. We eat quickly because everything cools down faster than we can speak its name. Then it's time to crawl into our sleeping bags, the single best remedy to the cold up there.
The next day, another surprise. During the night, it has snowed. Much worse, nothing of the mountain is visible. Our dream, to see the K2, the most mythical mountain on Earth with our own eyes, seems to evaporate. We wait and hope with our hearts in suspense. However, the camel drivers prepare the baggage and decide to return. We stall for more time by eating breakfast extremely slowly, until, suddenly and unexpectedly, we see a light passage opening between the clouds. There are the Sherpas to show us the route, and we happily trek behind them, off on an uncertain path.
We hike on, and with wonder, we see human figures coming toward us. They are two famous Kyrgyzstani climbers, fresh from the top. They return, visibly strained from having conquered the terrible North Crest, after a useless attempt to climb the northeast wall, which they abandoned due to the danger of avalanche. They stop with a desire to speak, amazed at finding us up here in this remote place. They encourage us and suggest that we set up our tents at the Italian camp, at about 5,000 meters, where the view of the mountain is better. We arrive in late afternoon through a thick white mass of clouds. Here, another outdoor supper awaits us, by the dim light of the first stars, and then a night below 0 degrees Fahrenheit, or -20 Celsius.
There it is, the K2, directly in front of us, so high that it strains the imagination. The jagged ice of the glacier offers the perfect setting to see the mountain with our own eyes. Still, our joy is tempered by the knowledge of where we are. We are standing at the K2 with its turbulences of weather above 5,000 meters, 15,000 feet, and we still face the adventure of the way back.
We are lucky with the weather, and we make the descent to the base camp without problems. All of our impressions of the mountain remain vivid in our hearts. At the base camp, the camels await us. After an ice-cold night, as the saying goes, the caravan moves on.
The extreme rigid ice landscape of the glacier is now only a memory. We have rubble and stones under our feet again, which had already taken away so much of our strength on the way up. Here the camels with their wide hoofs seem to have the advantage over us with our mountaineering shoes. In quiet elegance, they willingly march hour after hour. If our impressions during the hike on the glacier were wild and spectacular, now the calm steps of the camels, cradling us in these lonely valleys, seem to take us into deep meditation.